Okay, so I don't want to spend too long on this story, but you all may have heard that yesterday Joy Reid recently came out and just announced that she is now in favor of Medicare for All. Now, as you might imagine, the reactions to this have been mixed, to say the least. So let's go through what Joy Reid said, and then we'll talk about it. So Joy Reid says here, I will admit to being a past skeptic of Medicare for All with a lot of questions about what happens to union negotiated PPO plans, though a good friend whose family is a GM family in Flint told me that she would far prefer Medicare for All. I can't think of one good reason today now to keep the current system. So, obviously on one hand, by definition, deductively, what it means to win someone over is to bring someone over who was formerly against you and then now they're on your side, right? So if you want to win someone over, by definition, you could argue that, okay, well, this is a good thing. Now Joy Reid is going to be advocating for Medicare for All. And I think that that's the thing that we're going to have to see. That's the thing that we're going to have to wait for and see. Because in the case of Joy Reid, you all remember, Joy Reid was probably one of the most vociferous and serious critics of Bernie Sanders in the primary elections, both in 2020 and in 2016 as well. She was actively, attacking Bernie Sanders all over the place, not just on policy, but on personality levels, saying that, Bernie Sanders creeps her out, or that Bernie Sanders, the way that he crouches is uncomfortable for her, or that Bernie Sanders, the way that he's constantly yelling, turns her off. These are the kinds of attacks that Joy Reid would level on Bernie Sanders. And it's leading a lot of people to wonder, well, why were you such a vociferous critic of Bernie Sanders in the first place? Was it really just the fact that you were turned off by his style, and then as a result, you were turning around and arguing against Medicare for All? Now, I'm not someone who's just going to turn around and immediately attack someone's motives when I don't have any facts or don't have any evidence to speculate on anyone's motives. But I will say this. A lot of people are pointing out that Joy Reid recently got a new sort of primetime slot at 7 p.m. on MSNBC replacing Chris Matthews. And a lot of people are pointing out that this timing makes a lot of sense for her, in that now that Bernie Sanders isn't a threat to actually win the primary and Bernie Sanders is gone, and Joe Biden, who says that he will actively veto Medicare for All if, by a miracle it actually did get passed, that he would turn around and veto it. Now Joy Reid supports Medicare for All. Now that there's not a real chance of Medicare for All ever happening, she supports it. And also, conveniently, it turns out also that she wants to be relevant, and she knows that the curve of the Democratic Party right now is headed towards Medicare for All, and she doesn't want to be phased out and become irrelevant, sort of like Chris Matthews did in Hardball, where he ended up having to leave because he became so out of touch with the base of the Democratic Party that people kept on criticizing him, and it wasn't finally worth it to keep him on. So Joy Reid wants to avoid a situation like that and is trying to sort of get ahead of it, and especially get ahead of it in a scenario, in a time, in an instance where there's absolutely no risk of Medicare for All actually happening, because again, Joe Biden saying that he would veto Medicare for All if it ever did come to his desk. So this is a situation, where a lot of people have questions and a lot of people are skeptical. And to which I'll say, and this is my general principle when it comes to anybody and anything. Look, let's just see what she does, guys. Let's just see what she does. Instead of speculating on her motives and attacking her character and immediately jumping to conclusions when we don't know, let's see what her 7 p.m. show looks like, because it's coming out. It's coming out now. Let's see. Is she actively going to be arguing for Medicare for All, or is she not? Because look, at the end of the day, if she's actively arguing for Medicare for All, I don't particularly care whether or not she personally deep down in her heart believes in Medicare for All. If she's actively arguing for Medicare for All in a good faith manner on her 7 p.m. show, even if she's doing it cynically, oh well, she's doing it cynically. Now, if she turns around and invites in a bunch of guests who are anti-Medicare for All and are against Medicare for All, and she doesn't really push back against them, well, then we can say that, we can hold up this tweet against her and say that she wasn't telling the truth then. But until then, I think that we should generally suspend judgment, and we shouldn't be so critical because, at the end of the day, we can't be damned if you do, damned if you don't. So let's just see what she does. Let's just see what she does, all right? That's my view. That's my opinion. All right, thanks for watching, you guys. If you liked the video, I'd really appreciate it if you hit the like button and consider subscribing. Thanks.